let's go. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. So much. I said they lie. The people fool us. The people lie to us. The government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not the world. I said we tired with their lies. We tired with their promises that led us to all our damages. We tired with that speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you fool us, you screw us, you use us a little and abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But that's the question that we ask. The people fool us.
The people fool us, or the people fool us. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody out there. There's a family.
Yes, sir. How you guys doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm sure the guys and ladies out there are doing great too.
Great.
Yeah, we appreciate those following as usual. We appreciate you. If you can, share the link. But for some reason, I think some people said they have problems sharing, and I have to look into that. Hopefully, I'll do that this weekend, so they can be able to share. Anything new on your end?
Nah, I just got somebody coming to do some work in the house today. That's all.
Okay. You see, that's constant improvement, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, there's a issue on right now with foreigners entering our country. And I know you will go to the fundamental issue around that we don't even know who is Liberian.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just the same issue over and over.
Yes. And I hope people can see the thread, the point that you and I have been making, and I assume many others as well, that if you fundamentally cannot identify your people and your assets, you just basically can't do anything. I mean, I know some Nigerian people who say they're from Lofa. I know Ghanaians who say they're from Basa. Mm-hmm. So, you can't prove that somebody is not who they are or what they say they aren't. I mean, look at the case of Wabureke. He rose to the highest level in our government as a fraud. And still, we have not done anything real in terms of taking proactive action towards this individual. He still is being officially, I guess, considered a Liberian. So I don't know if you read the article from the Commissioner of Immigration.
Where he says that they don't have the resources to stop people from entering from Burkina Faso.
Right. So
what do you do?
And it's not new. In River Sets, for example, Ghanaians are there, whether it's fishing, whether it's gold. Sierra Leoneans are there. In Cape Mount, same thing. Sierra Leoneans are there. I know, some people may argue we are all Africans, but notwithstanding,
here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Liberians have lived in Ghana for nearly 30 years as refugees.
Mm-hmm.
And those that are documented as refugees, I don't believe they've been able to get out of that status.
No, they haven't. I went to the camp several times. I've met some people afterward who tried to infiltrate, and they're just trying to get by.
So the point I'm making here is, how is it that the Ghanaians, right, can keep tabs on such a large number of people over multiple generations? Because there are people in the camp who went there as teenagers who have had children, whose children have had children.
Right.
And they're still in the camp. So, it keeps coming down to our refusal to do the heavy lifting. That's what it comes down to.
Fact.
And as long as we continue to reject the heavy lifting, we're going to be stuck here.
And how heavy is that heavy lifting?
Well,
I mean,
most of this stuff can be accomplished in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Most of it can be accomplished in 3 to 5 years.
A solid foundation from identification of our people to just the way we approach technology, to identifying our assets, to be able to leverage our standard communication system across government. All of those things are doable. It's just like we make it impossible, or we just avoid doing those things that can help our country move forward. How can we get this message across?
It's the thing here is that the people, as long as the people who are in power don't understand why these things are necessary and are not committed to doing them, they will not get done.
And that's a fact, because even a lot of different organizations we've been in is like every time you do something, it's like you're reinventing or starting something new. It's like we shun repeatable processes that set the standards for continuity, for it to be like, really process oriented. You don't have to keep doing the same thing again and again, whereas you can just have one little solution, populate it, bam, you get your answer. We just cannot go in that direction. Is it a mindset thing? Is it just the people who are responsible?
No, I don't think it's a mindset thing. Okay, I think what I think it is that people don't know. And when I say they don't know to the point where they are also incompetent. Okay? Because you take somebody like a Samuel Twer, you take somebody like a McGill. Okay? I don't think these are unintelligent people. But it is possible to be intelligent and also be ignorant of certain things.
Oh, that's a fact. That's
okay. And so I think the challenge is, it is their ignorance about these things and how they fit that overwhelms whatever level of intelligence they claim to have. And so they can't make a commitment to seeing that these things are done.
So part of that, is it the ignorance that this allows them from seeing what the potentials are, even though some of those are documented highly, and they can see in terms of the different failures or the different obstacles they face that they need this thing to happen.
One of the things that I've said to you over and over, right,
mm-hmm.
is that we have a lot of people who have lived here in the United States,
right,
and they never really got an understanding of how things work. They just go to work every day, they drive their car every day, but they are unable to see how things work on the most basic level. And I think it's that lack of understanding that disallows them from being able to translate to say, this is what we need in Liberia. So let's take, for example, somebody who works in the United States as a teacher. And they know that they have to get their teacher certification. But they also know that that certification, there's a record of it somewhere. And it can be verified. That's very different from that person understanding how that certification verification system works.
That's big difference.
Okay. And I think that is what we are lacking everywhere. It's not that we don't have the people who can fulfill the for lack of a better term, let me call it the last mile of a task.
Right.
Okay. It's not that we don't have those people. What we don't have are the people to build the foundational pieces. Because no teacher certification in Liberia is valid because you don't have a way to validate it.
They don't even know. I mean,
right. So, you have an open air forgery market on what's called Wall Street.
Right.
Where you can get any document you want. But
like receipt included.
The only reason you can get those documents is because the people who are supposed to have the systems in place for those documents don't have them. So, it would take leadership that understands how foundational this stuff is and saying, this is what we have to do. I mean, when I look at the budget that you sent me, my question becomes, what is the revenue projection?
Well, the revenue projection is about 786 million for the entire country, somewhere in that range. I can get the exact amount, but that's what I believe is our annual budget for 2022. They changed the budget year. I will share the screen very soon so people can see where that revenue projection is. I'm going through the budget, folks. I'll be with you guys shortly. Oh, I see it now. Yes, 786 million. So let's just try to share screen here so people can see as we progress with it what we are talking about. The window. Here's the national budget.
All right, hold on.
Okay. So, folks, yes, what George is talking about. This year is the national budget. Our total revenue is supposed to be $786,587,340. So keep that in mind. If you look here, see the $145 million, they consider it extended revenues, but it's actually going to be a loan. People choose to call you at the wrong time. It's actually going to be a loan. So that's something, again, we are going to be further indebted. And that's another area we are now monitoring. Let me see if I can mute George here. That's another area we are now monitoring, and resources are being used differently. So you remember that 786 million? Let's show some specific breakdown of the budget so you can see how we look at President Weah and his folks, what they get in the budget versus what like a place like immigration that is crying, and we'll show you the article. We'll show you the article. So yes, like an extract from the budget. The national legislature gets $64 million. And we know a bulk of that is salaries to our big shots. Salary to our senators, salaries to our representatives, plus the additional benefits. And they break it down in all kinds of different fashion. We need a whole different segment to really go through the budget to give people an understanding how these fat cats fatten themselves, and they don't focus on the bread and butter issues and the need of the people. Now, I'm not saying they're not supposed to get some of these benefits, but if you look at some of the benefits they get, it's just overkill. They don't need all that. Other people got to eat, other people got to function. Then you come to the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs. They get $20.3 million. Ministry of State, that should be like a well-oiled engine that's slim, but they're carrying fat upon fat. Just the office of the president, $5.2 million. The first lady, what is it supposed to be doing humanitarian stuff? For whom?
But I say let me jump in right here and let's talk about the budget for the national legislature.
Okay.
And I think one of the things that I know from the budget of the national legislature is what the legislators have done is they have cannibalized expenditure in such a way that that expenditure cannot be put to good use for the overall organization.
Right. Okay, it's so dissected, individualized.
So when you look at things like the fact that the Capitol building doesn't have universal internet service, okay? They don't even have a network for the building where they could have their own printing resources. Instead, every lawmaker is budgeted money for internet services. Every lawmaker is budgeted money for printing services. Now, if we took all of those individual amounts and put them together, okay? So, for example, let's talk about the communication side.
So we can scroll down to communication. So this is the section of the budget for the legislature. As you can see, for 2022, sorry, I'm highlighting everything, but this is the amount right here, and this is the breakdown by economic classification. You can see that compensation of employees and use of goods and services basically is $52 million, which is probably like 85% of the budget. So when we scroll down to something like what George is talking about, communications, but just look at some of the stuff, the travel, the domestic stuff, fuel and lubricants for vehicles.
Okay, but we'll get to that part. But let's get to let's talk about communications.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to communications. So there's newspaper, books, and articles. There's this. They're probably hiding communication now because we've been talking about it. I see computer supplies. No, we gotta go to the total. They will change labels to suit them, or they will put it in a different pile. You see,
whatever the telephone services are,
is probably under
operational expenses. Right.
So let's see if we can scroll down and break down operational expenses so people can see what that 18 million is. Because they try to bundle the stuff and hide it. So the state got.
Okay, stop right there. Let's go back up to where it says. You say it says something about stationary. Okay, what is this stationary for?
This stationary is probably for just one office, the office of the pro temp. This is the office of the pro temp, and that's just his stationary.
Okay.
So you see, his salary is about $254,250 because they say elected official. He's the only elected official in his office.
Right.
And then the rest of his staff get $341,604 plus all the other.
But so let's just let me tell you how this affects the functioning of the whole of government. So we have Libtelco, which is technically the telecommunications company that is owned by the government.
Right.
So all of this revenue that goes to private cell phone companies for internet services, for cell phone services, where everybody gets their cell phone from by the internet anyway.
What do you mean everybody get a cell phone from the internet?
I mean, everybody gets their internet from their cell phones.
Yes, basically.
Okay. So in the legislature. So what I'm
saying,
saying,
they also get modems. They also get the modem and subscribe with packages and can use that on their computers as well.
But they can get it from any supplier.
Right.
Okay. So at the end of the day, all of those services should be run through Libtelco. Okay. Instead of them cannibalizing it into, how many people are there? 60, 70 of them?
Total 103 because you got.
Instead of them cannibalizing it into 103 different people. This is also why they don't have desktop phones. They don't have voice over IP service. So let me give you an example.
But just tell our people what voice over IP service means so they can understand that that's a possibility there in
this is telephone services using internet protocol. So let me give you an example. In my offices, I have 2 office locations, and I have 18 people who work for me who need to have a phone. I don't have a single physical phone on my desk, on any desk in my office. Not one. Okay? Everybody who sits at their computer, hold on. Oh, shoot. Everybody who sits at their computer, can you see this?
Well, you want me to share it?
Well, just they can see my screen.
Oh yeah,
see what I'm showing.
Yes.
Right. Everybody who sits at, they get one of these Plantronics headsets.
Right.
And it ties directly into the phone system that is run from their computer. Okay. So it doesn't matter if, let's say I have a provider who wanted to go on vacation for a month. Well, we don't give 1 month vacations, but she says, you know what? I can work remotely for part of the time I'm there.
Right.
So she heads off to the Philippines. She takes her laptop with her. All she does is she logs into the system and we can transfer calls to her. She can make calls. But the point of the matter is, every office should have a phone with an extension that people can place calls to.
But that's one of the reasons why we probably don't even have a regular 911 number, emergency number.
But that service needs to come through a unified communication system. Now, if I can, let me see if I can reach out to my man, Toyowa Harris.
To ask him what?
That's what he does.
I thought he did more like Microsoft.
No, he does unified communications.
Oh, okay. All right. No, but the bottom line, the budget is just shifted away from the Liberian people. You know, if we look at what this guy is saying, Mr. the head of the immigration services, he's basically really, really complaining on what's going on in terms of resources that should be directed towards them, but it's not.
So let's just talk about this unified communication thing. So what it's actually doing, it's taking money away from money that the government would be paying to Liptelco to provide those services.
And put them in people's pockets because they're not really utilizing those services.
So they can utilize it as they want.
Yes.
What it means is that there's no overarching way to communicate with the legislature. So here's the other thing. People will say, well, Liptelco doesn't provide cell phone service. But Liptelco can contract with the other cell phone providers to offer cell phone service, to purchase in bulk and manage the cell phone services for people in the government. That should be a part of their function. Let's jump to the item about vehicle maintenance.
Oh my God.
Here's my question.
Uh-huh.
Who gets to decide where that vehicle maintenance money is spent?
I'm not even sure if they have a pool or they don't have a pool, or whether each person got their vehicle, whether there's a pool of vehicles for the rest of the people in terms of transporting the legislative workers. We got to know there was a bus at one time or two that were provided. So there's no real clarity.
Here's the thing. Them doing that cannibalizes money from where? From GSA.
True.
Because all government vehicles should be maintained through the GSA motor pool.
Well, and that's why they took it away and did it like a personal loan, personal vehicle thing that they pay back.
Exactly. But now we still have to pay for the maintenance of that personal vehicle. And I'm saying it makes a whole lot more sense. How much does each representative get for maintenance?
Well, we can divide our money by 103 if we go to the high level.
Okay, so let's do that.
Let's go back to the budget. So, sometimes it's just sad where we are in oops. All right, this is the national budget. We'll share it, and then we can go back to vehicle maintenance, to the overall, not the pro temp. This one, they buy new cars for them, I think. There's 4.6 million right here. Transport equipment vehicles.
How often do they buy new cars for them?
I think every 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Each new person coming in gets a car.
Okay.
So let's look for the vehicle repair. Repair and maintenance, 897,000.
Okay.
So how can they say repairs and maintenance $5,000? You see how they play around with the money?
But you see $897,000. How they only got 103 people.
Yeah, but look at the previous year comparison. 149, 834 in the shortened year, and I believe 73,000 in the first 6 months, because the shift, they had a special budget for the last 6 months of 2021. Then in this 1 year, they come with this 897,000 for repair.
So each of them gets, let's say, about $8,700 a year.
Basically, 103 into that 897
for vehicle maintenance.
Yeah.
But imagine now if that $897,000 were put in as a part of the GSA garage budget.
That could be extend to probably 3 or 4 different agencies for that. Because
here's what they would do. They would then be able to train mechanics
exactly
to be certified to maintain a specific fleet of vehicles.
Yep.
Okay. But these are okay. If we're going to give $8,000, $8,500 each for each person's vehicle, rather than give that money to GSA, give it to me and I will maintain my vehicle myself. Because whether they use it for maintenance, whether they don't use it for maintenance, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Because at the end of the day, even let's say they didn't do it with GSA, the government should have standing contracts with all of the vehicle, the auto dealerships.
Oh, I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
Because
and say, wait a minute, so they would bring the vehicle to you to do the maintenance and repairs.
But George, before you even do that, there's a warranty on these new cars, right? So in the first year or two, basically based on the mileage, how much they use in Liberia, really, probably for some people going out of town here, maybe a lot of miles. But I warranty.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you know how big Liberia is?
I know for the 3,000 square miles, bro. Not far.
Do you know how far it is from my man? Do you know how far
our
it is?
entire coastline is less than 500 miles. I fully understand.
Isaac, I have a Kia minivan. That's 2018.
Right.
It has 100,000 mile warranty on it, and I purchased the extended warranty and maintenance package for like $3,000. I haven't paid a dime.
You cementing my point. They don't do any repairs and maintenance on those cars hardly, except for some of them where they rear bad roads. And I get to
you have a broken axle.
Yes.
You know, those types of repairs.
Right.
Okay. But
for
things
new
like
cars, they're not happening right away.
You know,
they're not happening.
The one flaw in the minivan is the left rear window. The mechanism has broken twice. You take it down and it won't go back up. Both of those times they were covered. I didn't have to pay anything. Okay, and it will be covered until I get to 100,000 miles, and I'm only at 60. So here we are. In the years I've had the car is completely paid for, and there's no cost for maintenance. So you understand what I'm saying? So what they're actually doing, they're simply taking it. Just look for internet services. Just do a search for internet.
I'm telling you, you see they reduce that amount. You see where they are now? Is 85,000. They reduce that amount. The tactical, because it used to be a little much higher before.
Okay, look for phone.
No, it's not a line item anymore.
Okay. So it's obvious that, you know, all of this money that is going to the legislature outside of salaries, the reason they're getting so much is because they are cannibalizing money that would go to other agencies that would make those agencies more productive.
George, like I said, that previous image that we showed, you look at the money. So let's just go to the article and share with people what the guy is saying, okay? What his concern is. Let's share the article. All right, so this is the article right here. Liberia, Burkinabe presents a serious threat, and it's not new either. And this is Commissioner Robert Booty, where he says we do not have the necessary funds to protect the country's border. And as a fact, they focus on the Burkinabes because they have like really increased their presence. They're coming in for gold. They're coming in for farming. Some of them are even supposedly armed militants that in the Nima Lofa area. So the threat to national security is legitimate, and it will clearly, like they say, undermine the political and social stability of the country. If they don't do something fast enough, those people integrate fast. They will integrate with us, and they will be one of us, and we don't know who they're representing or who interest they are here for. They have no information on how these people are coming in, really who's bringing them, what numbers they are. Our borders are porous. They're not protected. So when you look at what's being provided to immigration versus what's being provided to President Weah or to the lawmakers or to the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs or even the Ministry of Finance in terms of the volume of dollars, it's pathetic that the interests of the Liberian people definitely are not being represented in these budgets.
Absolutely. So you're telling me that you're spending $10 million on executive protection for the first family? They don't have any children in Liberia?
But that money is eating money.
So tell me, I want to know, how many members of the first family are there? What's the actual number?
Look.
And then explain to me, because at least I would say this. You can say with Ellen, she had four children. We know this.
Yes. So they had to be spread thin.
Okay, but she had 4 children.
Right. No, I understand.
He doesn't have any children living in Liberia?
Not that I know of, except his very oldest. No, I think his very oldest daughter is supposed to be here too.
Right. So he doesn't have any children living in Liberia.
$10 million for the EPS.
Does Claudia, are her sisters there? Are her brothers there?
Her brother is there extorting the country too.
But he's not entitled to executive protection.
So I don't know why you asked for him. But
okay,
anyway.
But what I'm saying is, so how many members are there in this first family? that warrant $10 million worth of protection.
Look at the Liberian National Police, $5 million.
Right.
Okay. And EPS, only a few people, 10 million. Even if there were 20 weird people in there, it still does not equate to the Liberian population. So this kind of distribution of funding to key agencies, that's why our police whole day they're begging for money, whole day they're arresting people and wanting bribes. They're finding every little.
So what they're saying is that it costs $28,000 a day. A day.
Right.
To protect George Weah and his wife.
I believe you divided that 10,350 by 365, right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. It's ludicrous. This approach to budgeting is just unrealistic. If we try to go to the actual numbers.
So I don't see what does the vice president get for protection?
But most likely the EPS covers.
No, but this says first family security.
You're right. I'm not sure it's the EPS with the vice president though.
But it should be. It should cover all it should cover the president and vice president.
Okay, so let's kind of walk through the budget, because supposedly they got like 799 employees, right? So if you look at that, 800 into that number, that 10 million is like 100,000 per employee.
And I know nobody there making 100,000.
No, 12, 13,000 per employee, and they're not making that. They complain. The people actually do complain. The EPS people, So we don't have lawmakers who would want to demand real visibility and
so you're telling me that in a country like Liberia, You need 700 people to protect 2 people.
That's the unit, 799, wherever the staffing is.
You need an organization of 700 people to protect George Weah and his wife.
It's right here. Okay, so they say president. You see up here, they say president and vice president and their immediate families.
You got the old thing on. You got to clear it off.
No, you're not.
What I'm seeing is the same thing. Hold on. No, what I'm seeing on my screen is what you put up before the little.
Okay,
one.
okay. Let me stop sharing and share the budget. My bad.
Right.
Let me share the budget again so you can see. Okay. So you see the EPS? You see the language up here?
Mm-hmm.
Provide maximum protection to the president, vice president, and their immediate families, and designated officials of government, dignitaries, and visiting guests of the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Maybe the number may not be overkill. I'm just saying the dollar amount for that budget is overkill.
It's overkill. Okay, and I'm sorry. In a country like Liberia, they're only even if you say visiting guests. Let me give you an example. When the Secretary of State of the United States comes, they come with their own protection.
Yeah, even the African presidents, they came with their own protection when they came from
their own protection. Okay,
yeah.
so you can't say, we're spending this number of resources.
You do have 1 or 2 of your people with them as cosmetic because they got the ground understanding.
Basically as AD camps.
Yes, but it's not like really providing security and stuff like that. We don't see the sophisticated equipment they buy. So I mean, we can look.
So $10 million, it just seems like a lot in an organization of 700 people.
So you see where the money for, right? So there's a 10 million compensation on employees. They're paying the employees $6 million in goods and services. 3.9 million. Man, there's no accountability in this budget, to be honest with you. So it's just only salary. Basically, it's salary they're paying.
Right.
And they're buying some goods and services. So their travel.
And because we don't have a payroll system, we can't even tell who they're paying. So
look at the allowance for domestic travel, subsistence.
One of the things that somebody named Naftali Rock says, all payments should be digital and linked to government accounts. All repairs should be taken to a specific agency. All government workers will take their vehicles to that agency.
Why is she so smart?
Yeah, no, but this isn't rocket science.
But I'm just saying,
no cash given to government workers.
And that Naftali is just sad. The people don't want to operate that way. I believe they do understand how more efficient and how more effectively you can monitor this thing if you move away from cash. But I bet they're still doing cash because once some hand touch the cash, there's some friction there and some will be stuck.
But it also the other thing is when they're doing cash, it's difficult to provide a record. So let's say you got 700 employees. If you're paying them in cash, if you only paid 600 of them and 100 never collected their cash, how do we know where that money went?
You never know.
So tell Ambassador Jimmy, okay, that I don't give either 1 or 2 S's about what happened under Ellen. I don't care.
And that's the thing that somebody like Ambassador Jimmy making comparison with the past government.
Because Ambassador Jimmy, unless you are saying that you believe that They were stealing under Ellen. And because they were stealing under Ellen, it's okay for we and them to steal.
But that's what he's saying. That's
the only
exactly
argument you can be making. And if that's the argument you're making, you know what I got to say to you? Shut the hell up and get off this line. Because we're talking about the future of Liberia.
No.
We're not talking about when CDC came to power, their thing was
change.
We're going to change how things are done.
Yes.
Now you're standing in front of me and say, but let's see how the other people did it now.
So it's important for people like Ambassador S. Jimmy to be on, because when they make these kind of points, it's essential that we rebut it and let people understand that that particular previous government should have been audited for all the corruption
exactly.
they did. And because they did those corrupt things and they got away with it simply because this particular government, I argue for us to establish a baseline or benchmark of where we were, do an audit of this past government. They refused to say I was trying to witch hunt. What is witch hunting? It's not witch hunting to establish where you are and what happened in the past, in the most recent past. No. Unfortunately, they didn't do it, Ambassador Jimmy. So that gives them an excuse. They didn't show
well, you know, you are different from me. You're very different from me. I like hunting witches. And if you're a damn witch, we're going to catch you.
No, but
that's the way I look at
it. No, when you say witch hunting, George, you tell
I understand.
It. Yeah,
I understand.
This thing. This is standard business. This is standard operation.
Exactly.
Jimmy, we ain't able to read all your points for the people, but when that one point there, you can't just say only the lawmakers are the problem. The lawmakers are a major part of the problem. One part, I would not disagree with you. I totally agree, Jimmy. The lawmakers are a major part of the problem. But the lawmaker was not the quote-unquote elected government to execute. It is the George government.
But Isaac, hold on now. He can talk about the lawmakers at 64 million. You take Minister of State at 20 million.
Right.
You take the office of the president at 5 million. That's 25 million. You take the office of the first lady, that's 700,000. You add it to the 0.2 that I didn't put there. So that's 26 million. You take 10 million for the Executive Protection Service. We're now at 36 million. Right? You say, okay, so we're not put National Security Agency in there, renovation of the executive mansion. So we're now at 40 million. You got 103 lawmakers who get $64 million. And you get the executive mansion and the office of the president that gets almost $40 million. Okay? So you can't tell me that it's the lawmakers alone who are the problem.
No, they're not the only problem. No, they're not. They're a major part of the problem.
Because the office of the president and all of that, and in the executive mansion, they get almost a 60 to 70%.
But George, back in the day,
of the budget of the legislature. So we know that all of the budgets are compromised, but let's not try to shift the blame, okay?
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Okay? No, Jimmy, you're not going to come in here and say, read all your points. Okay? The one you made about the old government, you need to retract that. Because when the CDC came, you people were changing. You're going to change how government was run. So you can't come and stand before me today and say, but L&N did it too.
You can't. You can't. And Jimmy, yes, we know the budget is a law, but it's an illegal law. It's a criminal law, really. It's a conspiracy by the executive and the legislative branches to extort the Liberian people and exploit them. It's very clear. I don't know why you don't understand. That's what it is. You know, it's plain and simple. I wrote an article a while back about broad daylight robbery. And that's what it is. That's what the executive and the legislature do when it comes to the budget.
But let's talk about Isaac. Let's talk about just how much money they give these people to buy cars every 3 years.
Man.
What is their allotment for each car every 3 years?
But you saw that I showed the amount a little earlier.
Okay. So here's my thing. When I win the lottery, I'm just telling you right now, I'm buying a new car for every member of the legislature. You know what car that is? It's the Nissan Rogue. Okay? That's the car we get him. And they will be driving around with a car that says Rogue on it.
I was gonna say the car too high quality, but that's the right car for that.
Yes.
It is pure.
That's the only car they will have. They will all have a Nissan Rogue. And it will say Legislature, and in the back it will say Rogue. Okay.
Man. I don't know how we change the country.
Listen, I don't think that the current government is up to task. And Ambassador Jimmy, I would just say to you, okay, listen, you don't love Liberia more than any one of us.
And that's the impression someone else seems to try to be presenting.
The test for your love of Liberia is how you can look at your government objectively and say, gentlemen, this is not the way we should be doing it.
They can't do that. When you do it, they say you hate the government. No, you just pointing out the realities.
So that's where we are. And I think, we need to look at, if I were just looking at the budget, I would be looking at communications. I would be, for the legislature at least, and motor vehicles. And I'll be looking to cut all of those things and take them away. So let me give you an example, Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we got 103 legislators, and we'll buy them a new car every 5 years.
Right.
Okay? There's no reason the government of Liberia cannot do a lease purchase with Toyota directly.
Toyota in Liberia or
Toyota Corporation.
No, because people want steal. They got to get the person to buy the stuff. They will not deal directly. And I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with a local person being.
No, here's why I have a problem, Isaac. So let's say we got 103 Toyotas and they all cost $70,000.
I mean, government people should not be driving $70,000 car, but go ahead.
Okay, let's say $60,000.
I said, Daddy. Well, go ahead.
Okay. No, I mean, you do the 4-wheel drive stuff and all of that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say $60,000. So that's $6 million. Okay. You go to Toyota and say, listen, we want to purchase 105 vehicles at $6 million, but we'll pay for them over 4 years.
Yeah, you can amortize it that way.
Okay, so that means you're not taking a whole $6 million chunk out of the budget. In exchange for that, you will come here and you will set up a Toyota mechanic training facility to work with GSA to train the mechanics. So where you are spending $6 million, let's say by the time you add the interest to all of that, you're at $7 million over 4 years.
Well, George,
you're looking at only taking $1.9 million out of the budget every year.
But George, we have to understand the mindset. The people want that immediate money.
Okay.
The people don't want to even think and plan for the future or some, more reasonable operational burden that
now
you can lay out over 4 or 5 years. No, they want the immediate gratification. They want to get everything now.
So
and that's what we are suffering from.
But you take those same cars now, and 3 years later, you say, okay, we want another 103 cars. But those Toyotas that you bought 3 years ago, they still have value.
Well, but you know how to dispose of cars so easily, right?
Right.
It was a racket too.
Yes.
I've seen GSA after 2 or 3 years, they go there, people can spend $100, $300 for cars that are worth probably say like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000.
Right.
So all of those things are criminal, but it just exists in our government. That's why there's so much waste and abuse.
I lease a Jeep, and it's, what is it? I lease a Jeep. It costs me $6,000 a year. It's a 3-year lease with 12,000 miles.
Right.
So after 3 years, I will have 36,000 miles on the Jeep, right? It cost about $55,000. After 3 years, the residual value on the Jeep will still be about $30,000.
Easily.
Okay?
Based on how much it costs to start with.
Right. So now, if you were selling those cars to the Liberian population at fair market value, you would still be bringing money in. But again, I don't know if these people don't know how these things work, but a component of it is that they want to steal.
Yes, that's the major part about it. They really, really do want to steal. They don't care for the people. Seriously, I would say if I were the one, like, I thought for the people, I would in that position and violate those tenets that I have consistently thought or believe. Somebody should just shoot me. That's how I feel. Somebody should shoot me and kill me. Because it's just so fraudulent.
It's hard. The thing about it is, it's hard to not do it because we don't have a system of accountability. We don't have a system of public records.
George, that's still an excuse. You cry for change. You get the opportunity to bring change to people, and then you don't even make one attempt to change one. Look, even the way the budget is prepared, we've been crying about zero-based budget. Start over, see what it really costs for everything in that budget and calculate on that basis. And then you can start to project forward, based on inflation, based on other situations, and based on the actuals. Look at several different factors. That has never happened. The same budget.
There's so much
continues.
Now that I think about this whole vehicle thing and say the government financing vehicles, but there's so much money, even for the government to make on the resale of those vehicles every 3 years.
Yes, but they're not interested. They want to sell it themselves.
To sell it to themselves.
To themselves, or to somebody who can front for them, or
for next to nothing.
To get it for next to nothing and sell it outside of government and get that money for themselves. That's right. The mindset. That is the mindset. Until our Liberian people can stand up and start to talk with a voice, a strong voice, a purposeful voice about what they want as a people, and not just be accepting sometimes they don't even get a crumbs from these people's table. No, it's just to say they're praising somebody and to say I'm a sedition or I'm a UP member or something. I don't understand how we think so low of ourselves as a people that we can't stand up and want to collectively want it better for ourselves. We just submit ourselves to, politicians who don't mean well at all. We bring crumbs towards election and then we vote for them. It's sad. So we as a people, George, and now I keep saying, until we can mentally empower our people, that's why I say the mindset change has to come first. That people have to start to understand what it means to be a Liberian, what it means to be a Liberian citizen, what it means, what the social contract means. How do we as people advocate for things we want? How do we assess our different candidates from legislative to presidential? How do we demand certain things in our communities? You got trucks messing up your road, bringing all the logs out of river sets, but they can't repair that road. They get stuck, they don't mind because they can bring a heavy bulldozer and pull them out of the mud. But yet and still, the little motorcycle guys who providing transportation, the little taxis. So now you see some of the risk motor guys take to get through that mud. Sometimes you wonder, it's like somebody come and die. That's how you feel. And we still don't want to stand up and be people who speak for the right thing, but we are willing to be paid to go demonstrate against people. We are willing to be vessels of use for politicians then who have a little dime. We got to elevate the intrinsic value that any individual feels for themselves. We have to get that message to our fellow Liberians. I mean, I personally don't know how. Maybe we need psychologists, maybe we need psychiatrists, maybe we need empowerment speakers, maybe we need more of influencers to start to talk about mental empowerment. But it's something that needs to happen for Liberians to feel better about themselves, to not feel that people can just use them, and that's what it's all about. So let me stop sharing this.
I guess we'll pick it up next week.
Yes, we got to the extent of our hour. Jimmy, now we understand you, but the point is, Jimmy, we just don't want you making comparison with the last government. The idea here was to really try to get change to happen, because this government was the proponent of change. It was a change message. And as much as we didn't like the change for hope, that's the message it came with, change for hope. You change to give the people hope. Right now, the people are only on hope. And, and that I do admire the resilience of, our Liberian folks. But that resilience has come to some kind of submission or acceptance of where they are. Like, nothing can change. That's why most people, when you bring a new idea, they don't even believe it can happen. They don't even believe some things are possible in Liberia, because they just
in learning psychology, it's called learned helplessness.
Wow.
There's actually a field of psychology called learning psychology, and it's called learned helplessness. When an organism begins to, I don't want to say the word believe, because that's not a word, but to believe that there's nothing it can do to change its situation.
No, but that's the mindset of many people.
Yeah, it's called learned helplessness.
Okay. So, folks, you heard it. If George wants to say anything, I'm done. I don't like to be on the soapbox.
No, I'm good. I'm waiting for Jimmy.
Yeah, we all need to try to talk to each other, talk to other people, and just encourage them to want something different, something better. That there's much more to what is Liberia today than what is being presented. And until we can get that to our people and let them feel empowered to really stand up to the level of injustice, the level of corruption, the level of negligence that they face as a people, while a few people just totally enjoy based on their resources. I'm saying somebody who earned the money or something when I enjoy. No, because I won't enjoy. I can enjoy my mind. But in terms of the Liberian people money, let it come to the Liberian people. So again, I want to say thank you for this wonderful time you share with us for this show. We're looking forward to more of these. Next week, we'll try to see how we can look at, inflation over time, how prices have moved, how there's even the possibility of further movement in a negative way, and what people can do. What are some of the economic things that we probably need to do to ease that burden in terms of our economy, in terms of how it impacts our people. So thank you for watching. We look forward to talking to you next week. Peace.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.